Hello all. I hope you people are doing well. So in this class we're gonna study the chapter 2 in the Indian Economic Development, the CBSE. So the chapter name is Indian Economy. So in this chapter we're gonna study about like how the Indian economy has changed between 1950 to 1990. So we are focusing more on what is economic planning, those 5-year plans, what are the goals of those related to agriculture, industrial development, how was the foreign trade, as well as the critical appraisal of the industrial development between 1950 to 1990. Okay, so in this chapter there is a one keyword where you can see a lot, that is the economic system. So what is economic system means? It is an arrangement by which the central problems of an economy are solved here. So that means, see, every economy has a limited resources here. Every economy has a limited resources. Like when it comes to in terms of land, in terms of labor, in terms of capital, in terms of the entrepreneurship. But the thing is, human wants are unlimited because the resources are scarce here, and every society must decide how to use them effectively. Okay, that is the economic system here. So if you take a central problem of an economy, there are three major central problem in our economy, that is what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce here. So what is this what to produce means? Basically we are going to decide which goods and services should be produced. Let's say for an example, either should we produce more rice in our country, or should we produce more cars in our country, like that. Deciding what to produce here, what kind of a goods and services to be produced. And next thing comes the how to produce. How to produce means which production method should be used. Either we are going to use the labor intensive method, means you are going to use a more labor to produce the goods. And the next one is a capital intensive means you gonna use more of a machines to produce the goods instead of the humans. That is a capital intensive. So how to produce means which production methods you going to use. Either you are using more labors to produce or the more machines to produce. And next come for whom to produce. For whom to produce means who will receive the goods and service. Either the children's or the middle age group people, or the older people, or the rich people, or the poor people, like that. Okay, so these are the three central problems of an economy. So now we will study the types of the economic system. There are specifically three types of economic system. One is capitalist economy, second is socialist economy, third is a mixed economy. So then what do you mean by capitalist economy? Capitalist economy means here you're going to, basically capitalist economy is one which the means of production are owned, controlled and operated by the private sector here. Okay na? So that means in the capitalist economy the means of production means either the land, even the factories, even the machines, etc. These things are owned, controlled and operated by the private individuals or the private firms, and their main objective is to earn the profit. This is their main motive. And here in the capitalist economy, the government has a very little interference here. Okay na? Here basically in capitalist economy what happens? The market here. Market means here the demand and supply decides the most economic activities. For example, if you take a US as an example, it is basically a largely capitalist country. Similarly, if you take a Singapore as an example, so these two countries have a capitalistic features. And now we will see how are the three central problems are solved in the capitalist economy. When it comes to what to produce here, in the capitalist economy, producer will decide what goods to produce based on the consumer demand and profit here. Okay, based on the consumer demand and profit, now the producer will decide, and the producer gonna produce only such goods where that will give him a most profit here. For example, let's say now there is a high demand for the smartphones. Now the companies like Samsung, Apple, they will produce more smartphones because now they are earning a higher profits by that. Similarly, if very few people are buying the DVD players or the CD, means company will stop producing them. That's simple. Okay. So, and second thing is how to produce here. How to produce means now the producer will choose the least cost effective method for the production. Now in the capitalist economy, now the producer will compare either if I use the labor that will be cheap for me, or if I use the machine to produce goods that will be cheap for me. Let's say for an example, if the labor is cheap in India, means now the garment factory may enjoy many workers instead of buying some expensive machines to produce the goods, like that. Okay. And the third thing is for whom to produce. Here what happened, the goods are distributed according to the income here, according to the income or the purchasing power, but not according to the people need. Okay, na? So only those who have the more money, now they can buy the more goods. For example, let's say if the life saving medicine itself cost you the 10,000 rupees, of course only the rich can buy it immediately, and a poor person may not be able to afford it immediately. So thus what happened, now the goods will go to those who can able to pay, and not necessarily to those who need them most here. Okay, so remember, for whom to produce in capitalist economy, the goods are produced for those who have the purchasing power here. Okay, so make sure that you are learning what are the features of capitalist economy. So what are the features? One is that will be owned by the private people. There will be private ownership of property, and their main goal is to earn the profit. There will be lot of competition here between the different private firms, and there will be a limited government intervention. Limited government intervention. These are the features of capitalist economy. Okay, and when it comes to the socialist economy, in socialist economy the production are owned, controlled and operated by the government here. By whom? By the government here. Now let's say under the socialist economy, how those three central problems are solved. Okay, when it comes to what to produce in a socialist economy, the government will decide what goods should be produced based on the needs of society. Based on the needs of society. But in the capitalist economy, by seeing the profit, they used to produce the goods. But in socialist economy, the government will decide the goods which has very necessity for the society. For an example, if there is a shortage of food, means now the government may order to grow more wheat or the rice instead of like luxury cars, like that. Okay, and next is how to produce. Now the government will choose the production method which gonna benefits to the whole society. So most probably it may choose the labor intensive methods, because that will provide the employment opportunity here. So for an example, a government may build the roads using more worker to reduce the unemployment here. Okay, like that. And when it comes to for whom to produce, even the goods are distributed according to the people's need but not according to the income here. For example, usually the government will provide the free of cost or very low cost hospitalization services, like government hospitals are there where you get a very free or the low cost treatments to everyone, including the poorer people. Okay, so now generally what are the features of socialist economy? First of all, there will be a government ownership, and their main goal is a social welfare, not the profit here. No profit motive, no profit motive. Because of that, there will be a equal distribution of income, equal distribution of income. Okay, similarly, if you take the mixed economy, as the word itself says mixed here, there will be a mix of both capitalist and socialist features here. That means both the private sector as well as the government sector both operate here. Okay, now the market forces also as well as the government planning also, they together they will solve the central problem. For an example, if you take India is a mixed economy. India is a mixed economy. So in India, if you consider the private companies, it might be Tata or Reliance, Infosys, they will produce many goods and services. Now if you consider government, even government will run the public service like railways, public hospitals, and some welfare schemes. Like this, both private sector and government sector will operate together in a mixed economy. Okay, now private sector gonna produce whatever the goods and services they can able to produce, and but the government will try to provide the essential goods and service where which the private sector are failing to do. Okay, so this is all about the what is economic system, what are the central problems of economy, and the types of economic system, and how these capitalist, socialist as well as mixed economy will solve the problem of economy. Okay, so in the next video I'll be explaining about the economic planning. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.